The first trailer for the War of the Rohirrim finally came out, and I can say once again that I have been right all along. Wes, hi everybody, and welcome to another video. Well then, we have finally, my dear friends, received the first trailer for The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. And if you've been following my channel for quite some time, you know that I have covered this many a time already, when we got the first information that they are going to adapt yet another snippet from the appendices to The Lord of the Rings. Those famous couple of chapters that Tolkien included to the end of his famous fantasy story. Now, and ever since I started covering this, ever since I made my first video upon the matter, I had two gripes. The first one was that they cannot possibly adapt like this paragraph or two that is dedicated to Helm Hammerhand. And secondly, that quite honestly, in my own eyes, and that is just a subjective opinion, that the style of anime does not fit the world of Professor Tolkien, for which I got a lot of lynching on the internet. But I still hold this opinion, and I am unmovable in this aspect. And it seems that everything that I have said in the past has come true. Now, I will post a link in the description down below to a couple of videos that I made upon the matter. I made quite a lengthy video about the lore, the actual story from the appendices about Helm Hammerhand, the ancient king of Rohan, who had sons, Haleth and Hama, and a daughter who was not named in the book and was only mentioned because Freka, the Dunlending that Helm Hammerhand famously had a conflict with, wanted to marry his son Wolf to King Helm's daughter, which was unnamed. And then, of course, it ended up by King Helm Hammerhand, or King Helm of Rohan, slaying the Dunlending Freka, upon which, of course, Wolf then wanted to avenge his father, and that resulted in that war that we are talking about here. And all those, couple of paragraphs that are devoted to this story then revolved around this conflict and about, King Helm being so great at battle with his bare hands and, with his hammer, that he became, renowned for being, they even called him, a snow troll, because he was so fearful in battle, towards his opponents. Now, what we got here is, and we have known this for quite some time, an adaptation that is focusing on the daughter that is called Hera in the story here. Now, of course, I know what they were trying to do. They were trying to keep the alliteration there, Helm, Hera, right? And then his sons Haleth and Hama, which is quite common in Tolkien's works. But quite honestly, the name Hera really reminds me more of Greek mythology rather than Norse mythology or, the old Anglo-Saxons, really, upon which, the Rohirrim were based. The language of Rohirrim is basically Old English. And then, of course, we got to know that Peter Jackson, Philippa Boyens, and Fran Walsh are going to make the film, and people were all excited. I didn't really believe that it could change anything. And so the trailer starts expectedly, with scenes from the Lord of the Rings trilogy by Peter Jackson. Peter Jackson presents, right? And there's you've got Eowyn, which of course is the narrator of the story. Miranda Otto is the narrator, and on a groundbreaking journey. And then we've got this. which, as I said, and I described it the first time we got pictures from it. It's Princess Mononoke. It's basically another fantasy anime of the style of Mononoke. I mean, we could call it Mononoke in Middle-earth, but this is like the snippet that we got a couple of months ago. And the more you look at the trailer, the more you realize, I don't think, just first, I have to say, I don't think this film by itself and on its own, standing on its own, is going to be bad. I think it's going to be very good, very well crafted, very well drawn, and very well animated anime, which of course I can call it anime because it was made by Japanese people, right? By the director Kenji Kamiyama, I think. Yes, Kenji Kamiyama. And so it follows basically, from what you can understand from the trailer, it just focuses on Hera and her like trying to make her way and become like famous in this world filled with men struggling with each other. See, I do not want to marry you. Our fathers speak as if I were not even in the room, which, Hera is speaking about the fact that Freka wanted to marry his son Wolf to Hera here. So without venturing into that which a lot of people will mention and will talk about, a strong female protagonist taking over the entire film instead of it being about what it actually was about in the book, and it is precisely this case. You can't avoid saying that. I will say more objectively that this film, from what I can understand from the trailer, is really not about what was written in the appendices. Or if it is, it's going to be just on the verges there, right? It's going to be the subplot, the sub-story. So that which should have been adapted is going to be a side story, a subplot, and what is going to be the main story is Helm's pride, his daughter, right? And he even says, my pride, my joy, you could rule the world. And just look at this scene. I mean, she is scaling a wall, which like dangerously reminds me of that. Yeah, this is the Watcher in the water. So yeah, I know what Nadrotics and the like will say, like member berries, but you can't avoid that, right? That reminds me a bit too much, the scene from the Rings of Power, right? I mean, so what are they doing? So they are making an adaptation of a story from the appendices to The Lord of the Rings, which they are not going to adapt really, because they are going to focus on any other character but the characters they should be focusing on. And they are dangerously approaching the Rings of Power as far as a couple of scenes here go. So I don't know, man. Once again, I think that the film by itself, as an anime, is going to be good, is going to be great. I think that they're going to be using music from The Lord of the Rings. I think they're going to be using... See, this is Princess Mononoke. They're going to be using Howard Shore's main themes. They're going to be a lot of, as YouTubers say, member berries. But I don't think, as a Tolkien fanatic, I don't think it's going to be a worthy adaptation. See, what does Mordor want with rings? There was no mention of rings or Mordor in the appendices with this story. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to be a good adaptation, but I think a lot of people will like it all the same, because nothing fucking matters anymore. Right, so let me know in the comments down below what you think, and that'll be all. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm out of here.